Dingity ding ding ding.
The world's largest casino, aka the old stock market, just closed today, Monday, May the 19th, and it was a bit strange because if you looked at the futures market last night or this morning or paid attention to any of the lamestream media, everyone was calling for doomsday. On Friday last week when the market closed, we got the Moody's downgrade of the US credit, and everyone thought, well, this was it. It was a fun ride to the upside. It was good. Hope you got your tendies, but now the ride is coming to a close and it's time that everyone gets off. But I guess everyone trading didn't get that memo because by the end of today, even with a large gap down at market open, guess what? We closed in the green. So in this video, I'm going to be breaking down what we saw in the market, but really there wasn't that much news. So more importantly, I want to focus on 3 different equities I see right now in real time that are offering a lot of interesting potential because I think the bulls might be running these particular 3 tickers higher and higher and higher. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Before we get to all of it though, don't forget to like, subscribe, share this video with a friend if you enjoyed these type of market breakdowns. And with all that being said, let's rock. By the time the market officially closed today, here was the headline. S&P 500 ekes out a 6th winning day as investors look past the US credit downgrade. Honestly, the fact that we had a green day is really impressive, given this piece of news right here caused everyone to freak out. Moody's downgrades United States credit rating, citing growth in government debt. If you looked at Twitter or the mainstream media or whatever your favorite news source is, everyone was freaking out about this, and obviously that's what caused really some bearishness when the futures market opened on Sunday, and it also didn't help early this morning when we got this little ditty. China accuses the US of undermining trade talks with warnings against Huawei chips. So the 1-2 combo punch is exactly why things started off in a pretty red territory, but as you can see, by the time we closed, we were in the green, but really it should be noted that we did start with a gap down of about 0.45%. That was at market open, and at the most extreme in the overnight session, we were down in excess of 1%. So the fact that we recovered from all of that with both pieces of news, it really does highlight the fact that the bulls are in control. Anyway, I digress. If you look at the heat map of the S&P 500, yep, there was some green, there was some red. It was a mixed situation. The SPY ended the day up 0.11%. The Qs ended up the day 0.10%. Bitcoin is looking phenomenal at 100 and almost 6,000. And that's exactly why MSTR here is the largest gainer on my personal watch list, and obviously just completely tied to Bitcoin. And this is looking juicy. So the first thing I really want to do here is break down some of the news throughout the day, and then I really want to get into the exciting stuff of what I see coming down the pipeline this week, my favorite trade setup. So JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon says markets are too complacent on tariffs, expects the S&P 500 earnings growth to collapse. Yeah, that sounds all fancy, but if you ask me, this is what someone would say when they're mad that they were passed over for the Treasury Secretary, right now kicking and screaming. But in reality, ever since the low, the market has now rebounded an entire 23.3%. And I should also remind you that from the all-time high, we are now down just a mere sub 3%. And if that wasn't enough reason, another part of why he is kicking and screaming is because Bitcoin is not only ripping, it's also at a new all-time high. And for those of you who don't know, he has multiple times actually called the entire crypto community stupid. He has called Bitcoin stupid. He doesn't think anyone should be touching it, and yet it is ripping like no other, and even his bank now likes it. JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon says the bank will now let clients buy Bitcoin. Wah, wah, wah. Anyway, I probably shouldn't gloat, so moving on. In another piece of important global news, Trump-Putin call yields no immediate breakthrough on Ukraine's ceasefire. 2 leaders spoke over the phone for more than 2 hours as the White House presses for a ceasefire deal. Now, if you ask me, the way the Wall Street Journal is portraying this, it's actually a little bit more negative than both sides, who were actually saying, hey, we made great progress. Now, granted, they didn't come to a conclusion, but both sides, the US and Russia, were both saying, hey, this was actually a really, really productive call. So obviously, this is something on top of the whole trade war stuff, this actual war stuff, something to pay attention to in the medium term, because we ideally, fingers crossed, might be seeing some positive news. Speaking of the trade war, you can't really talk about it without talking about inflation, which means you can't not talk about the Fed. Fed Fed officials signal rates likely to stay on hold until at least September, a little bit of a mini dagger in the heart for people who are hoping we're going to be getting a rate cut in June. Two Federal Reserve officials, including the New York Fed, John Williams, they're citing him because he's considered to be the most influential under Jerome Powell, suggested policymakers may not be ready to lower interest rates before September as they confront a murky economic outlook. It's not going to be that in June we're going to understand what's happening here or in July. It's going to be a process of collecting data, getting a better picture, and watching things as they develop. So what does this mean? It means at least up until September, we're going to keep seeing the president, Trump, basically call Jerome Powell too late, pal. So get prepared for that for at minimum months to come. And for those of you, my viewers who are nerds and you want the actual numbers, well, as of right now, there's a 91% chance that we don't get a rate cut in June. If you fast forward to July, there's a 67% chance that we don't get a rate cut. And then finally in September, that's when it becomes a greater than 70% chance that we actually do get some form of a rate cut. And finally, this brings me to the most interesting part of the video. Yes, the market has been ripping, but if you look at the current options market setup, not that exciting. A lot of call gambling got burned off on OPEX last week, which leads me to believe that there might be opportunity elsewhere. Now, the obvious thing is Bitcoin. Bitcoin is ripping. It went from 74.5 thousand all the way up to 106. Wouldn't be surprised if we're talking about a new all-time high soon, which right away makes me think I like MicroStrategy. Not only do we have bullish price structure, higher highs, higher lows, pulled back into the EMA cloud, seems to be bouncing off of it, but you should also consider options. And right now for MSTR, guess what? It is call dominated and people are looking roughly at the 440s right now. That's an interesting gamma node, so definitely put that on your watch list. Next up, we have Netflix. This is the one stock that even in all the craziness of mid-April when the overall market was getting hit, Netflix was simply break even year to date. And ever since the market started rallying, it started rallying. And even on days like today, when we started with a gap down, guess what ended in the green? Owed Netflix. Another one you should consider, and I know I'm hitting you with a little bit of a rapid fire here, is Meta. Meta had a strong recovery, pulled back on the news that they're not going to be releasing their AI model as soon as people want them to release it. But the same thing as we're kind of seeing in MicroStrategy, a pullback to the cloud, makes a fresh high after an overall bullish structure. Would love to see that follow through at minimum to the recent high. And hey, I know that I told you I was only going to give you 3, but I'm in a giving mood. I'm feeling pretty good. My trades are crushing. So I also wanted to call out Broadcom because Broadcom, even with this large gap down, look at the recovery throughout the day. I love the fact that we're seeing on a relative basis to the overall market, certain equities are showing quite a bit of strength. And when I see the overall structure, when I see the overall momentum, and then if I could just double or triple check it with what's going on in the options market, these 4, MicroStrategy, Netflix, Meta, and Broadcom, they are all hitting my checklist. So I'm excited to see where they could go this week and obviously the following week. I hope this goes without saying. These are my own thoughts and opinions, and it's not necessarily gospel because I can't tell the future. So with that being said, I would love to get your thoughts in a comment below. Do you disagree with me? Do you agree with me? Or are you even seeing an equity that you think is even better? Let me know in a comment below. That's what I have for you today. I'll catch you in the live stream tomorrow morning. Remember, Monday to Friday, 9 to 11. I'm degenerately trading my own account. I hope to see you there. And if I don't, I'll see you in the update video tomorrow. That's what I have for you now. I'll catch you in the next one.